There's 4 things that distinguish Fred from the other candidates running for this seat. First, he has an authentic heart for service. I know that, having watched him for many years and certainly seen what he's done in our community and what he's done in his business and when he's served. I personally can attest to that. Second, he has a lengthy record of public service, unlike the other candidates. He knows and has served us as a leader locally and in the Florida State House. Certainly going to Washington is just a continuation of the back and forth of the political arena. He knows it, he's been there. We know what he's going to do. Third thing, unlike the other candidates, Fred lives in the district, and he's a longtime resident. What that means is he knows us. He knows our issues. That's what a representative is to do, to represent us, the local residents. And fourth, he will go and drain the swamp, regardless of your perspective on the president. The president deserves our support. He requires our support. I know through some of the actions, which I hope Fred will talk about, he has stood up. He has the intestinal fortitude to always do the right thing. And right now it means draining that swamp and making the progress that we have seen in America since Republicans took the White House in 2016. Fred Costello.
Wow. Thank you, Marilyn. Grateful and honored for that introduction. And thank all of you for caring enough to be involved in fighting for the future of the United States of America, comma, one nation under God, no comma. We are fighting for the future, for the heart and soul of our country. And who are we fighting against? We're fighting against socialists and globalists and Islamic jihadists. We are fighting against people who want to fundamentally transform America. They're still with us, and we've got to get rid of them. So who am I? Who is Fred Costello? Well, like Vice President Pence says, I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. I was a business owner for over 35 years, a career dentist, but more importantly in this arena, I'm one of us. I have lived among us for 40 years. I believe that we need people to represent us who know us. I was your mayor for 8 years and your state representative for 4. I am one of us, but I want you to know that I am your local Trump MAGA warrior. Now, some people say, Fred, you're too nice to be a warrior. Not. Let me tell you about being a warrior. I was the only one in the Florida House that stood up to the entire legislature when the legislature wanted to raise our taxes without telling anybody. They wanted to raise the required local effort. How many of you know who Congressman Matt Gaetz is? You see him on Fox News a lot. When he was chairman of Finance and Tax, he turned around and he said, we can thank Representative Costello for not having this $428 million tax increase, because I was the only one that did not support that. And now it's over $1 billion because it's the 3rd year running. Some say, again, that I'm too nice. You know, you can be nice until it's time to not be nice. When it's time to not be nice is when your own team wants to do the wrong thing. The majority leader of the Florida House asked me to run a bill to expand eminent domain into the residential historic neighborhoods in St. Augustine. I'm a freshman. The majority leader asked you to run a bill. What do? You say, no way. That's not in my wheelhouse. That's not in my core values. You don't run that bill. Are there consequences? Sure. But you don't run a bill that you don't agree with. I am here to support President Trump's agenda. Why? Because his agenda is make America great again. I'm a MAGA warrior, and let me tell you what I define as a MAGA warrior. There's 6 things that I want to do up in Washington. The first thing is we've got to restore the Judeo-Christian values upon which our country was founded and follow the Constitution. President Trump says it better than I do. He just says MAGA. Make America great. That's the way he talks about that. We've got to restrict the federal government. I'm the guy that talks about shutting down, terminating, eliminating, or at least greatly cutting back on the federal departments of education, energy, labor, interior, housing and urban development, environmental protection agency. There's no There's no constitutional support for those things. The federal government has gone amok. They've gone crazy. They are taking over our government. I hope all of us in this room believe in several things. We believe in individual liberty, personal responsibility, equal opportunity, free markets, strong defense. We all believe in that. I believe in home rule. The best government is the least government closest to the people. I've fought for that in Ormond Beach. I fought for that at the state. I want to fight for that for us in Washington. So we've got to shrink the federal government. That's a way we can attack the debt. General Mattis. How many of you think General Mattis is doing a good job? Good. I'm going to give you a quote, and I'm going to leave off the last word, and I'll give you a second to think of it. General Mattis says the greatest threat to our national security is our debt. That's what General Mattis said, our debt. We have got to fight the debt. I believe that the national security that we are facing now, and let's talk about what President Trump is doing with national security. Oh my gosh. 2 days ago in Israel, Jerusalem was announced as our embassy opened in the capital of Jerusalem that has been the capital for 70 years that Jerusalem has existed, but nobody could say that. We had 3 presidents that campaigned on that, one of our own. In addition to Clinton, we had Bush and we had Obama that all said that they would make Jerusalem the capital of Israel. But only one did it, President Trump. Think about North Korea. Let's go back to President Reagan. What did he say to Gorbachev? Tear down that wall. What's President Trump going to say to Kim Jong-un on the 12th of June? We don't know, but that's the anniversary of when President Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down that wall. We need to come up with a slogan that we send President Trump. I don't know, trade nukes for prosperity, whatever it is. Kim Jong-un has the chance right now because President Trump had the onions, the stones, the kahunas, you put in whatever you want. He had the whatever to say, my button's bigger than your button. Okay? And so because of that, Kim Jong-un has come to the table, and I know it's a little dicey right now with what's going on today, but the reality is he now understands he has a choice of prosperity for his people or nukes, because he's not going to have both. In addition to that, we have the economy is roaring. It's not going good, it's roaring. We have the lowest unemployment for Latinos, for women, for blacks, and guess what? Not one Democrat voted for the tax cut bill. Do you all realize that? Not one Democrat voted for that bill. Let's talk about Iran for a minute. You know, with Iran, we talk about the plan of action. Do you know why they don't call it a treaty? Because the Senate didn't ratify it. We didn't ratify it. President Obama unilaterally did that, and Iran did not even sign it. I don't know how many of you realize that. Iran never signed the plan of action. So when Netanyahu told the world that Iran had already violated the treaty, we're not the ones that caused that, I inappropriately used the word treaty, that plan of action. Netanyahu told us, gave evidence that Iran was already violating that. So why am I running for Congress? People ask me that a lot. I've got a wonderful practice. I've had a great life here. We need to send people to Washington who could care less about staying there. I am the guy that will go up there and vote to do what's right, whether it endears myself to the people that want to contribute money or not. I have a record of standing up for us. What did I do when I was in Tallahassee? I stood up to the majority leader, I stood up to the legislature, and I stood up for you. I went to Tallahassee to do 3 things: growth management reform, pension reform, and tax reform. I didn't like what the state was trying to do to us when I was mayor in Ormond Beach. So I went up there to change it. And we eliminated the Department of Community Affairs, which was the growth Gestapo. I'm proud of what we did with pensions. You know, President Trump files a bill way out here, or he doesn't file a bill, he talks way out here with his negotiations because he wants to end up here. Well, when I filed a pension bill, it was way out there. And we had a lot of people upset with us. And guess what? We ended up with the pension about here, where everybody else was talking here. We had to have a pension bill that made it so our state doesn't have the unfunded liability that most states do with their pensions. Florida is now the #1 solvent state of all the 50 states. Other things I want to do in Washington, you know, we talk about the debt, jobs, the economy. We've done a great job on eliminating too many regulations. 22-1. President Trump is eliminating 22-1. Yes, you give him credit for that. I think that's huge. He's given us the most significant tax reform we've ever had. The third thing is excess taxation, excess regulation, and excess litigation. We've got to attack the excess litigation. That goes into health care. There is so much cost in defensive medicine that all of you pay every day. So we've got to work on that. I am for draining the swamp. Marilyn said that. Thank you, wherever you're sitting. You know, I have always said that elected officials should have the same rules, the same benefits, the same everything that anybody else does. There should be nothing special for members of Congress. You realize they have special health care because they didn't want to have the Obamacare that they gave to the rest of us. So we've got to get rid of Obamacare. Please go to my website, fredforus.org, and you will find on there 22 ideas, suggestions of how we're going to reform health care. So I want nothing special for elected officials. No pensions for elected officials at any level of government. Pay them, but no pensions. No lobbying for any elected officials. Once you've been an elected official, you should never be able to be a paid lobbyist again. A lot of people ask me about my opponents. Well, I'm going to name names and talk about it. Ward says he's a Trump Republican. We had a forum scheduled in St. Johns County, his home turf, where he lives, about 45 miles north of the district, and he didn't show up. He said they were biased against him. Now, if the Trump Club in St. Johns County, if a candidate thinks they're biased against him, how's he going to do on draining the swamp? So I'm a believer that I want you to ask yourself, if somebody won't show up to a Trump Club forum because you think it's biased, are you really a Trump Republican? Ward has said that he doesn't think that Puerto Ricans should be able to vote when they move to Florida. I got to tell you, they're citizens. When they move to Florida, or when Floridians move to Georgia, when you live in any of the 50 states of America and you are a citizen, you can vote, folks. It's up to us as Republicans to teach these immigrants that the Republican Party is their natural home because they believe in individual responsibility, personal freedom, equal opportunity, free markets. They don't want to be part of a socialist regime, so we've got to teach them why they need to be part of us. Waltz, you know, he says he's no longer a never-Trumper. Ask yourself, why did he change his mind? When did he change his mind? What changed his mind? Let's assume that Waltz cares enough about us that he wants to be a part of us. Well, his home is in Washington, D.C. He bought a home with his mother north of the district. He told Mark Bernier that he bought a home in the district, but when he was challenged about where the home was, he agreed that when he bought the home, it was not in the district. So my question, and I want you to ask yourself, if you'll lie about little things, how can we trust you on big things? Waltz wants a draft. I don't support a draft. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but to me that's just another Obamacare-style personal mandate that's un-American. I want our military and our veterans to be paid so well and taken care of so well that we have too many volunteers, that we can't take all the volunteers and we have to pick and choose. I do not support a draft. It will not happen on my watch. One of the things that they talk about, I'll just say it, that Waltz talks about, is that he knows the players in Washington. Ward says he knows all the big money people. I want you to think about this. Ask yourself, I don't want to go to Washington to learn the ways of Washington. You need me to go to Washington to teach Washington the ways of us. Florida cut $6 billion out of their budget when I was there. Not taxes, that's easy. If you have enough revenue, it's easy to cut taxes. It's hard to cut the budget. We cut that budget. I'm proud of that. We need people in Washington that are willing to cut the budget. So I want to go up to Washington and teach Washington our ways, but I can't do it without you. I'm the local guy. I need your support. I need your financial contribution. I need your volunteerism. I need you sharing with your neighbors why Fred is one of us. The only reason you know that I will keep my word is that I've been here over 40 years and I always have. You know that I stand with us because I always have. That's the difference. I have a record. I am going to Washington not to sell my vote. We don't have a bunch of lobbyists trying to give us money. One of my opponents, Waltz, the first fundraiser he had was in Washington with about 30 lobbyists as the co-hosts. Raised a ton of money. More power to them. They have every right to do that. But I'm just telling you, I want local support. I want volunteers who care about us locals. I want you to never forget that I am your Trump Republican MAGA warrior, and with your help, we will beat Soderbergh, because make no mistake that with Upchurch and Savigny both being locals on the Democrat side, they'll split the local vote. Soderbergh will win, and she has the Clinton machine behind her, and if we don't have a local Republican going against that Clinton machine, then it's just outsider versus outsider, and some of the independents are going to choose the woman. So I'm the guy that will beat Soderbergh. I need your help. Let's make America great again. Thank you for your vote. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for being here.